Hi, I'm Hannah from knitting.com, and today we'll show you how to do Jeny's surprisingly stretchy bind-off. I use this bind-off for all sorts of knits, including socks with ribbed cuffs, or even especially long curved edges on shawls that need to relax and hang as I wear them. This bind-off adds an extra yarn over between stitches to give your edge more yarn that can stretch and flex with the rest of your fabric. Today, I'll show you how to use this bind-off for both knit stitches and purl stitches. To practice with me today, you'll need a project ready to take off the needles. That's it. If you're ready, let's get started. The way that Jeny's surprisingly stretchy bind-off works is you are working a stitch, then you're yarning over and working that in with the next stitch. So you're decreasing, but also adding a stitch, adding a little bit of extra yarn in between to create a little bit of extra give and motion for things that need to stretch or lie flat or relax later. All right, let's get started. So in this case, we're going to work the first stitch. So if that's a knit, it's a knit. If it's a purl, it's a purl. Just work the first stitch normally. Then, because we're doing a knit example here, our yarn is in the back. We're going to loop it up and over and make a yarn over. So from back to front around that right needle, and then back to the back again here. So we've looped it all the way around. We're back to the back. We're going to knit the next stitch. Then what you're going to do is you're going to pull the further two stitches over your most recent stitch. So you've got your yarn over and your first stitch. You're going to insert your needle through both of those and pull it over the more recent stitch and drop it off. So now you've just bound off one stitch and your yarn over, and you're back to a single stitch over here. So again, we're going to yarn over and knit the next stitch and bring the further two loops on your needle over the more recent one. Pull it through, drop it off. Again, you're bringing your yarn up and over from back to front and back to the back again, knitting that last stitch off your left needle, pulling it through, and then pulling those two stitches up and over that last stitch. And then you're going to use your snips to cut your yarn and feed it through that last loop to close it off. And you can see here, look how much that stretches. It's a ton. You'll also notice that there's a little bit of an eyelet detail happening here. So you can see it's not super solid. It creates like a little bit of a bump and ridge here. And I think that's a really nice finish as well. That's pretty different from other cast-offs. And that was how to do Jeny's surprisingly stretchy bind-off on a knit side. Now we have the purl side of a fabric that we're going to bind off using Jeny's surprisingly stretchy bind-off. You're going to work the first stitch. So in this case, it's a purl. You're going to make a purl stitch onto your right needle. Then you're going to wrap the yarn up and over the needle. When you were knitting, doing the knit version of this, you're knitting from back to front. In this case, you're wrapping from front to back to work your yarn over, and then purling the next stitch before slipping those first two stitches, or the furthest two stitches, over your more recent stitch and dropping them off. So you've just bound off one stitch plus a yarn over, and you're going to repeat this again. So you're bringing your yarn to the front, wrap your yarn up and over your needle from front to back or counterclockwise, and then purl the next stitch before slipping the yarn over and your older stitch over your more recent stitch to bind them off. So again, bring your yarn up and over, purl that last stitch off your left needle, drop it off. So I use my fingers to pull those up and over since this yarn is so big, but you can also use your knitting needle to pull them over. And now you've just got one stitch on your right needle. You make that loop a little bit larger just to make sure it doesn't slip away from you while you get your snips. And remember to leave 6 inches or so of yarn tail to weave in later. Open your loop, pull that strand through, and close the loop by pulling the strand taut. And you'll be able to see that there is a series of little almost eyelet holes along the edge, and that gives you that extra space to stretch and flex for a bind-off edge that works for all sorts of projects that need just a little bit of extra flex in them. It doesn't get much easier than Jeny's surprisingly stretchy bind-off. As always, practice makes perfect. I always recommend that you test a new technique on a swatch or test piece before using it on a whole project. If you found this tutorial helpful, be sure to click the thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Subscribe to knitting.com if you'd like to stay in the loop, and check out our other social media channels. Until next time, happy knitting!